which was in the command line. Here we are going to see the same things how you can implement in the web console. The first one is performing the cluster administration. The cluster administration task. Here we are going to see how to that whatever task you have done on the command line with respect to the web administration. We can do a lot of things with the web console. So there are a lot of scopes are available to do that in the web console. So we're not able to cover that in a short time. So I just stick to the whatever there in the curriculum. So whatever they are covered in the curriculum, just I will stick to that. So there are a lot of things you can do that actually, the web console. So the cluster, the first section is about performing the cluster administration task. So here in this one, we are going to see some task. So whatever we did on the command line. So first thing we'll see how to configure the identity provider, which we did on the command line. So configure identity provider, so which was we were configuring the HTTPass, WD identity provider, which we are configuring. So we'll see how to configure the identity provider. Then we'll see how to create groups. Creating groups. This is simple. So as we did in the command line, this is simple in the web console. Then we'll see how to do the role binding. So cluster and the project role binding. So how to do that on the web console, we'll see that. Then finally we'll see how to do the resource construct. So how to create resource quotas and limit ranges. So we'll see these things. So under this heading, performing the cluster administration task, we'll see this how to configure the identity provider, how to create group, and how to say the cluster and project based role binding. Then we'll see about creating resource constraints, the resource quotas and resource limits. Resource quotas and limit ranges. The resource quotas together and limit ranges. Okay, so first we'll see how to access the web console. So as any user, you can access it provided you have the graphical target access. That means you can open the browser and you have a proper connectivity to the web console so that you can access it. So to access that, first I need a URL for accessing the web console, because web console is, we are going to through the web browser, we need to have a URL. So to get that URL, so we'll be using OMI command --show-console. So when you use this command, you will get the URL. So as any user, you will get that URL. So you'll see the web console URL. So here you can copy this URL, you can right click and open that. Can you open link? So this will open the URL in your default web browser. You will get that. So here it's going to issue me a self-signed certificate. So I'll just accept that. Here I'll just accept this. Continue. It is going to ask for 2 times. So I'll just accept this twice. So here they have used re-encryption. So it is going to just issue two different certificates. So I'll accept it 2 times. Now you can see I have logged into the cluster. Okay. So here you can see the identity provider details. So I can log in as kubeadmin, or I can log in as that regular users which I have created through this identity provider. You can see the identity provider name, the first IDP which I have created. You can see that. So the first task, okay, let me now log in and see that I will be logging as kubeadmin user. Kubeadmin password. I'll get it from here. I'll be using this password. Now you can see into the cluster. You can see this is the web console of the cluster. So you can on the top right side you can see the username. So here you can see the console. You can see the overview, projects. So here are the tabs. So these tabs will give access to a particular resources. So we have the home tab, we have the workloads, networking. So this will give access to the particular resources. So now I'm into the cluster. And now what we have to do is we have to log in, we have to create, first task is to create that configure the identity provider. So we'll see how to configure the identity provider to the web console. So let me clear off my identity provider which I already have. Let me clear that. So when I run this lab setup command, it will actually clear that things. Lab. So when I run this command, so this lab setup command, it will actually clear it. Manually I can do it, but it will take time. So I'm just clearing it now. So if I try to log in as that users now, I cannot log in. So because I have cleared that. So if I try to log in as user John, you can see my login is failing because I have removed that identity provider configuration. So now I'm going to configure it through the web console. Okay. So here I can create a new file, and through that file I can able to configure the new users. So I can because in the web console I don't have option to what we can say, I don't have option to create that mechanism. So for example, the HTPass tool, HTPassW tool, that tool cannot be used inside this web console. Web console we can configure the things related to the Openshift, but we cannot configure the things related to the identity provider. So if I want to generate something related to the LDAP, so I cannot do that in the web console. So I have to do that in the that mechanism, either to the command line or to the some kind of tools or softwares. We have to do that. So the first step remains the same. The first step where we are going to configure. So we were following a particular step for configuring the identity provider. In that the first step was the same. Like with this step, there is no change. To create HTPass user credential file in the local system. So this remains the same. So here already we have the file. So we have the file in the documents. There I have the file like HTPassWD. So I'm going to use the same file. So you know how to generate it. If you want to generate a new file and get new users, so I'll just create this users again. So Raj, Sam and John. So this file is already there. Then I'll go to the web console. So step number 2, which we are going to do in the web console. The step number 2 for this is to import the HTPass user file as a secret in the config project. This I'm going to do in the web console. So I'll go to the web console here. And to import that secret, so you have to go to something called workloads. Okay, you will find the secrets. So under the workloads, under the workloads you find secrets. Click these secrets, and this will list the secrets from all projects. So here go and select the project which we are interested in, which the project which is Openshift-config. This is the project which we are interested in. So we have to open that project, Openshift-config. So here I open that project, and here I'm going to create that secret. So there we are importing that secret. So here I'm going to get inside the project. I'm going to create that secret. So here click this create. So here it will show you the option of creating different secret. So here I'm going to create a key value secret. So here I have to select the key value secret. And here I need to provide the secret name. So I'm going to say this is my secret. And here the key should be the variable which we are using, like HTPassWD variable. The variable name I have to give here. And the value, you can the file from the local system, or you can browse to that file location and copy that, open that file over here. So here I have the file in the documents directory. I have this HTPassWD file. This file you can open this into the web console. So if you open that, the file content, whatever it is, will come over here. So you have the file content here, and then I can create this secret. So I have created this secret now. So you can see the secret name, and you can see the you cannot see what is the content of the secret, but secret is now created. Now, and if I want to I want to do the second step is done. I want to do the third step, configure the OAuth cluster to use SDPass identity provider. So here I need to modify the OAuth cluster, so I can directly modify it. So the OAuth cluster, you will find it in the administration section. Under the administration section, you will go to the cluster settings. Under the cluster settings, you go to the global configuration. So here you can scroll down and find about the OAuth cluster, or you can just search here and just type here OAuth, and it will just filter you the OAuth resource. You can just open that OAuth, and you can go to the YAML part, or you can here directly you can do the edit OAuth. That will take you to the same page. So here I have to see that here it is initially it is empty. So here I have to configure that OAuth. So I will remove this one, and I am going to add the identity provider. Identity providers. Then I'm going to say the name of the identity provider. So here I'm going to say this is my second identity provider, which I'm configuring. Already we have configured it through the command line. So this is my second. So I'm going to say second IDP. So my second IDP, which is configuring here. Then I'm to say the mapping method. The mapping method, which is going to be climb. Then I have to say my name, type of identity provider, which is SDPass UMD. SDPass already. Then I have to mention the that SDPass already detail, SDPass already file data, then I have to mention the name, which is the name of the secret which I have created, my secret. It is the name of the secret which I have created. So I'm going to save this file. I'm going to parallelly verify that on the command line. So you can verify in the web console also, but you have to go there to that. So it may, by the time I go there, it may be redeployed. So we want to see this redeployment. So we have to use watch command. Watch OC get pods. We want to see this redeployment in the Openshift authentication project. So I'm going to save this. Now this is saved, and I reload this resource. And now if you go and look at the here, you can see it is redeploying that pods to accept the new configuration. So now it has accepted the new configuration. Now I can able to log in as this users. Now I can log out of this session in the console, and I can see now my second IDB. I can go through this IDB and log in. So here I can log in as the user which I have created, the same user like Raj. The password I was using, I can log in as this user. See now I can log in as the user Raj. So when I log in as the user Raj, you will see that I don't have the entire cluster access. So I don't see any project for this user. Because the Raj is a regular user, so initially he is not having any project or anything. So you will not see any project for this user. So later on we have to assign the project. So like this you can log in as other users. I can log out here. So I can go to this identity provider. So whatever the users are there inside that identity provider, so you can log in as that user. For example, you can log in as user John, or you can log in as user Mark, like that. Okay. So I'll continue with the Kubernetes. This is how you create the web console. So it's very easy in the web console. You go to the secrets. Under the workloads, you'll find the secrets. Modify that secret in the particular project. Then go to the cluster settings. Under the administration section, you go to the cluster settings. Go to the global configuration. There you can search for OAuth, and you can say get this. In case if you don't know how to go to this exact section, so here if you see like it has to go to this like cluster settings, then go to the global configuration, then you have to find it. If you don't know how to go to this, there is a option to help us. So here you can see the search option. In the search option, you can search for the particular resource. If you click this, it will ask to filter that resource. You can type OAuth, so it will automatically list that resource here. If you click that, it will automatically create you that OAuth resource. You can directly edit the OAuth from here. So if you don't know how to go to that exact location, this search option will help you to find out the resource. The same OAuth can directly go from here using the search option. So this is how you create the identity provider. If you want to modify anything, so you actually modify the secret. If you want to add any new user or something, so you can add that to the secret and create that secret. So reload that secret, then you will see that the new user will be added. For example, I'm adding a new user to that file. So you can add a new user to the file. So that I have to do in the command line. So I can use htpass wd. I'm going to add a new user -b capital B. I'm going to add to this document file htpass wd. So I'm going to add a user called Nick with the password Red Hat 456. So I'm adding a new user to this file. So if you look at this file now, now you can see there's a new user added here. So now I want to update this. So you can do the same thing in the cluster web console. You go to the workloads, go to the secrets, go to the secrets under the Openshift config, go to the secret which you have created, my secret. Open that my secret. Here, go to the actions. Here we want to edit the secret. Edit secret. Now what I want to do is I want to replace this file. So you can browse. You can again open this file. If we open this file, now you can see this file will have the new user information, which is Nike. And if I now save this, you see that secret will be updated. I'm going to save this, and ultimately you are going to see these two parts will be redeployed. So you're going to observe that also. So the same thing we have did when we are doing the user modification. If I save this one, now you will see that here the redeployment should happen as a result of modifying that thing. So now the new user is added. So now you can able to log in as that new user. You can able to log in as the user Nike. You can try that out. Just to log out. You can use your identity provider. Then here you can type in the new user Nike. Password I was using 456 Red Hat 456. Now you can see I can able to log into that. So I can do the command line login as well as I can do the web console login. I can see my login is successful. You can see the user information here. So I can log out. Then log in again. Kubernetes. So this is how you do this task. configuring the identity provider. So the same thing which we did on the command line, we did it on the web console. Then we'll see how to create the group. So to create the group, it's very simple. So to creating the group, you can go to the user management. Under the user management, you find groups. So here you can create groups. So this will open a template file. And this template file, you can mention the group name. So you can mention the group name like my admin or something. Any group name you can mention. Here you can mention the username. So like Sam, Nike, like that. And you can create that group. A group will be created. The group called admin is created. You can verify that also. You can verify that in the here. You can just see OC get groups. You can see the group is created with these 2 members. Then parallelly, I'm going to verify that in the command line. It's not required, but you can just to confirm what we're doing that on the web console to confirm it on the command line. I'm going to meanwhile you can just be knowing the commands also. So how to verify that in the command line. So this is how we create the groups. And if you want to modify the groups, go here, and if you want to delete it, you can see the option to delete the group. If you want to edit the group, just edit it. Go here. If you want to remove the user, you can remove the user. Just remove the user and save this file. If you want to add user, just add a user to the next line and save the file that will add the user. This is how you modify the group. And next thing we'll see about cluster and project role binding. How to assign the cluster and project level role binding. So I want to assign a cluster level role binding. For example, I want to make the user Raj as a cluster level cluster admin. So how to do the cluster level role binding using the web console. Now the user Raj is not a cluster level administrator, so I want to make him the cluster level administrator. So you can find out for example, when the user logs in, so I will log out and log in as user Raj. So here I'll go to this and log in as the user Raj. When I log in as user Raj, you see that the user Raj, he doesn't have any project. He doesn't have anything at the cluster level. He's a normal user. Somebody has to assign a project for him so that he will have the project to work now. So he's not now a regular user. So when I make him the cluster administrator, you're going to see you will have access to all the projects, and you will see all the projects tab. You will have the entire cluster access. You're going to see that as the cluster admin is having. You're going to see that. So now how the cluster admin is having access to all the things. If you look at the project, now the cluster admin is having access to all the projects. The same access will be there for the user Raj. So when I make him the cluster admin, so I'll have to do that in the command line, sorry, web console. So to do that, you go to the user management. Under that, you will find role bindings. Under the user management tab, you will find role bindings. Click this role bindings. Here, create binding. So once you click that binding, it is going to ask for 2 options. One is namespace role binding. This is something which is the project level role binding. So here we are going to do the cluster wide role binding. Okay. So here I'm going to give a role binding name. So I'm going to make Raj user as a cluster admin. I'm going to need the name cluster admin 0, and I'm going to select the role. So role is cluster admin role. So here you can search for cluster -admin. You'll get the role. Then so you can mention the username. So you can do it for a group, you can do it for a service account. So here we are doing it for a user. You can mention the username as Raj. So I can create it, and meanwhile I can verify this in the command line also. I can just do get cluster role binding. I can OY. So if I grep for the user Raj, I will not find him. So once I do the role binding, you will see you will find him. If you are not finding him, you go to the web console and you create this. Once you create this, the binding will be created. And now if you see, now this you can see the Raj user has got a cluster admin. Now if you log in as the user Raj, I will log out as user Kubernetes. So you can go to the one and you can log in now as user Raj. Now you can see the Raj will have access to everything. Now you can see the inter-cluster information. He is having access to all the projects because I have made him as a cluster administrator. So this is how you assign the roles. Same thing like you can assign at the cluster level. You can assign the self-provisioner role, or you can assign the cluster status role. You can do that. If you want to remove the role, you have to follow the same procedure. If I want to remove the role from the user Raj, so I can just go to the user management, go to the role bindings, and search for the username. Yes, Raj. I get that Raj user here. So here go and delete this role binding. So here delete role binding, cluster role binding. Just delete it. So that role binding will be deleted. After sorry, I got disconnected now. Now you can see the role is removed. This previously the role was there. Now when I do this again, the role is removed. This is how you do the role binding at the cluster level. And when you want to do some project level role binding, so I want to give a user a project level role binding. So for example, I want to make the user Nike, which I've created. For him, I want to give a view access to the test project too. So I want to give a project. I want to create a project level role binding. So to create that, again you can go to this the create binding. So here now we are going to select the namespace role binding. So here you have to mention the role name. So here I'm going to give the view access. So I'm going to give it for the namespace which is test project 2. So for the test project 2, I'm going to give it for the user. Select the name of the role, which is view role. The name of the user. I'm going to give the user Nike. So before doing that, you can verify that in the command line also. You can just do OC get role binding. I can go right to the project, test project. If we check, so I don't have any role for any user here in this project except Kubernetes. So now I'm going to assign the role binding. Then I'm going to create that role. Now the role binding is created. You can view that. So here it will list all the role binding. So here you can just search for that username, Nike, and filter that role. Here you can find the Nike user is having a view role on the test project 2, and you can see that in the same command. If I list this command, you can see now the Nike user has got a view role, view access or view role for this particular project. So like that you can do a project level binding. So if you want to remove it, you can just go and the same you can delete that. If you want to remove this role, just go here and delete that role binding. It will remove that role. Okay, so this is how you can get the role binding. Then we'll come to the last one, which is creating quotas and limit ranges. For any project, you can create quotas and limit ranges. So this is easy as compared the command line. Same things you're going to do in the web console. So first you will create a project. So to create a project, you go to this project section. So here the option to create a project. So you will name the project my demo 13. So these are the options. If you want, you can give this option, otherwise you can give it. You can create the project. So for this project, I want to do a resource allocation. So if I can just go to the command line and verify that also, OC project my demo 13. So for this project, initially I don't have any resources. So I want to say the limit ranges. I don't have anything. So I want to assign it to the console. To assign that, you go to the administration. Under that administration, you can find the option for resource quotas. Select that, and here you can find create quotas, create resource quota. So here you can find the options to create the quotas. So you can see the options. What are the options is not required. You can remove that option. You can name this quota. You can name it like my quota. So whatever things you want to add, you can add it over here. That hard section. You can add like services. So whatever things you want to restrict it, you can add that over here. Right. So you can create this resource quota. Now this my quota is created. You can verify that using the command line also. And I can see the resource quota which I have created to the file is created here. So it can easily create in the web console. Also, I can create the limit range in same way. Go to the limit range. So if you click create limit range, it will open a small template file. So if you want, you can completely remove this, or if you want, you can add something to this, and you can create a limit range. You can just do create limit range. So this will create a limit range. So you can change the name and all these things. So that will create a limit range. With that, we complete this section of the first section of the 8th chapter, which is performing cluster administration task. So here we are seeing, so this basically includes the cluster administration task, like creating users, assigning roles, creating groups, managing the resources. This includes the cluster administration task. Then we'll come to this managing workloads and operators. So managing workloads include the normal operation. So how to create project, how to deploy application, how to create services, how to create routes. So these things are the normal workloads. And the operators are something which we have discussed in the first chapter. So we have learned what is an operator is. So to refresh, what is an operator? Operator is a automated software manager for the application. So if you deploy the application through the operator will take care of that application, like the doing its upgrading, fault recovery, and all this. So it's a high level of like an intelligent way of doing automation. So here we are going to see how to install this operator. So first we'll see how to install the operator, then we'll go to work with managing workloads. The managing workloads, we are going to see how to create project. After creating the project, how to deploy the application. So in the command line, we are using the ocnap command. So we're going to see what is the equivalent of that in the web console. We'll deploy the application. Then we'll see the networking. Then we'll see how to create the route, how to create the secure route, how to create the insecure route. And we'll see about how to do the scaling, so automatic and the manual scaling. So all these things we'll see. This is about managing workloads. So first we'll see how to deploy the operator. So here we'll go to the web console, and you can find a exclusive section or tab for the operator. So you can find here operators. And basically on the web console, we are accessing the operator through the operator hub. So we have operator hub.io. So we have access to this operator hub.io. So through this we are able to deploy that application or deploy the operator. So we'll be able to list the operator. So here we can directly install the operator in the Kubernetes environment. In the Openshift, in the web console itself, I have direct access to this location, direct access to this operator. You can find, you can go to the web console. Here you can find the operators. Here you can find the same operator hub which is there in the online. Same hub is related, can be reached through this web console. Provided the web console you are accessing, that system is having the net access. So you can directly access this operator hub. And you can directly install the, because to install the operator I need to have a OLM. OLM is already pre-installed, coming pre-installed with Openshift. So I just go and select the operator and install that operator directly. That's all. Okay, so it's very easy. So first we'll create a project. Inside the project we'll create that, we'll install that operator. So here we'll create a project. We'll create a project means my demo. Create a project. So in this project I'm going to install that operator. So we are going to go to this operator hub. Here you can find my demo.14. So here I go to the database. So I'm going to install the database operator. Here I can here you can check the operator, like I'm getting the Postgres. So just I'm installing this operator here. You can install this. The installation time, it's going to ask for the update channel. Let me say this table. So I'm going to say the update approval strategy. I'm going to say this automatic. So some operators you can install in all the namespace and all throughout the cluster. Some operator you can install in only a particular namespace. So I'm going to install this operator. We click install. It will start installing this operator. Now it started installing. So when you go to this project, you can find that operator getting installed. Go see project. My demo. Demo 14. You can see OC get pods. The operator pod is getting installed over here. Okay, to sign some error. Now trying to install. Okay, so it may take some time. So the operator will be installed. So through that operator, you can able to work around with that application. So this is the procedure. You can install any operator like this. So you have direct access to the operator hub. So whatever operator you want to install, create that particular project. So go to that, select that project over here, and select the operator which you want to install. And once you install that, through that after that you can work around with that operator. This is how we install the operator. Next, we'll see how to manage the workloads of the application. So how to create application. So how to create application inside the project in the web console. First, we'll create a project. Then we'll create the application. So I'll create a project here. We say create project. So I'm going to say this is my demo 15. I'm creating a project. So after creating a project, I want to install the application. So application, I'm going to get it from DO280. So I can access my registry. From there I can create any application and install it. Here I can sign into my registry. So I'm signing into my QA registry. Here I'm going to use my own image which I've built for some purpose. So here I'll use the image called my demo app. I'll be using this image for the demonstration purpose. I want to install this application inside this one. I want to install it through the web console. So to install it through the web console, to install it in the same style as OC new app, so what you can do is you can switch this one. So this is called a perspective. So here you can find the perspective to be administrator. Here if you click this perspective, there are two options. One is developer perspective, another is administrator. This is just a perspective. It's not like any user permissions. So all the users will have these two perspectives. So if you are a developer, you will view the things only which is related to the development. So you will see the tools like monitoring, build. So these are the things which is related to only the development. The developers will not be concerned with the administration. So if you are administrator, you will see all the things related to the administration tools. So there you will see the administration tools over here. So now I have to do some task which as a developer. So I will switch over as a developer perspective. So here I'm going to install. There are a lot of methods to install the application. So you can get the source code from the Git or you can get it from the Docker file. Here I'm going to install the application through the container image. So that is equivalent of using the OC new app command. You can select this container image. You will specify your image here. So what are the image which is available here? You will specify the image in this path. So the image has got any tag, you will specify the tag as well. I'll copy this. I'll go to the one. I'll paste it. So now you can see it has started validating this, and this is validated. So this is lively validating is. So if I use something wrong here, so which I don't have access to, you will see that you may not have access to it because that image is not there. So it's doing a live validation. So if the image is available and it has access, you have access to it, then you see this is validated. So it is a live validating this. So there is no requirement for any tools to do that. Previously in the command line, you are using the Scopier tool to validate that image. Whether the image is there in the image repository or not, we are validating that. But here, no need for that. Automatically it's doing a live validation. Then here you can give the application name, the unique name given to the application. This name will be taken as a name for the labels. So this is the name of that application. So here I'm going to say that same as it is demo app. And there are two things the Kubernetes. So we have deployment and deployment config. Deployment config is the older way of deploying the application. Now we are mostly using deployment. So I'll go with the deployment because throughout the course we have seen only the deployment. The deployment config was also used to create the application, but deployment config is a little bit like it's getting duplicated. Mostly now using the deployment. There is some minor difference between using the deployment config. And I'm not going to create the route. I'll just untick this option. The advanced option you'll find create a route to this application. So later on I'll create it. So I'll just create this application now. So once I create it, you can see the application getting created in a graphical format. So if you have multiple application, you can see you can connect multiple application using this graphical options. You can connect this to multiple applications here. But I'm just leaving that as it is. So here we can see now it is running. If you hover over this, you can see this application is running. Now I go to the normal perspective. From the developer perspective, I go to the normal administrator perspective. Then, so once you deploy the application, what you usually do is you will check the running status. You use the OC get pods. The equivalent of the OC get pods, you can go to the workloads. Here you go to the pod section. There you see the pod which you have created, which is running. Demo app, the pod which is running over here. And you can see the deployment. You can see the pod. If you click this pod, you will be able to see the pod statistics, and you will be seeing the pod logs. So normally you will see the logs of the pod. You can when you use OC describe pod, you will see these logs. You can able to see the logs information here. You can see the events. So events related to the pod. So when you describe the pod, you will see the events at the bottom, or when you use the OC get events command, you can see this information, the same information you can see. And also you can have a direct terminal access. So when you are doing OC RSH command to get that, the same equivalent of that you can have the terminal. It will just take you to the direct terminal of that pod. This is equivalent of having a OC RSH, OC remote shell. So you can see that file system of that pod. And here you can find the deployment. So here you can see the deployment file. You can see that deployment file, the YAML format. So here you can directly scale that application. So here you can see the replicas. If I want to scale it twice or scale it 3 times, I can scale it here. Scale the number of replicas. If I want to scale it 3 times, I can just give here 3 and save. So you can now see that the application will be scaled to 3 times. And you can see a small manual scaling here. You can see this up arrow and down arrow. This using this you can do just scale that like 1 time or 2 times you can scale it. But for very large scaling, if I want to scale it 50 times, I cannot press this for 50 times. Just you can do that, and you can go and edit that YAML file to that number so that it's going to scale. But for small level scalings, like I want to scale it 1 time or scale it, I want to reduce it 1 time, I can use this option over here. Just I can do that manual scaling. So here itself you can see the events related to this, and you can see the pods under this deployment, and you can see the replica sets, all these things under the deployment section. So other thing, you can also set the automatic scaling. So there is an option to set the automatic scaling horizontal pod of the scaler. If you click this one, here you can use the namespace. Here you can set the minimum replicas, maximum replicas. You can set that, and you can set the target utilization, and you can create that. This will create this horizontal pod auto scaler. So it will set the automatic scaling. If we want to set the automatic scaling, you can come. Okay, so these are the things which you have seen. Other things like we didn't see, like secrets we already covered. Config maps. They can directly create the config maps from here. So other things we didn't cover, so we have covered just on the horizontal pod auto scaler. So these are the workloads things. Then the networking thing, like so how to do the network. So how to create the service. So already the service is created. So when you create that application to the image, that image container image deployment is equivalent to using the ocnf command. You already have the service created here. And if you want to create a manual service, you can just go in here, create service. Here that a small template file will be created. So you can say the name of the service. You can say the app selector, which is going to select that particular deployment or the label. Then you can mention the port number, port of the service and the port of the pod. Okay. You can create the service manually. So already the service is created here. So you can look into the service. Service is created. So port 8080. You can see the port. You can see the labels of the service. You can see the cluster IP of the service is already created. So you can see the cluster IP in the cluster. And now we can create a route. So to create a route, so we had options like we can create a secure route or insecure route. So first we'll create a insecure route. To create an insecure route, it's like using a expose option. Here you can go and say the route name. So here you can say demo app. You can give any name, demo app. So you can specify a particular host name. If you don't specify the host name, it will take the default name. So I can say demo app dot apps dot ocp4 dot example.com. So here you have to select the service. Service we already selected it, that is a demo app. So you have to select the port. The port is 8080. So here I'm not going to create a secure route, I'm going to create an insecure route. If I just click create, so this will create a route. So here you can find a route is created. So the route is accepted inside the router. You can see the status is accepted. And here you can see the direct link to access that application. So here from this link, I can directly access this application. You can see now I'm reaching this application. So this is the application which I have created. So I can now directly reach this. So this is but this route is insecure. So if you look at here, you can see this is connection is not secure. This is an insecure route. So if I want to create the secure route, so I can do that, but I want to have the certificate and everything ready. So using that I can create a secure route. I'll delete this insecure route. Now I create a secure route. So I can use them same here. demo app. So here the host name, demo app dot apps dot quota example.com. So here the service is same, this the demo, and the target port is same. So here I'm going to create the secure route. The secure route, I will create the edge termination. The pass-through termination is easy. So pass-through termination, I'm not going to require any certificates and all. Here only the edge route I require the secure certificates. Here I'll select the certificates. I already have done that created certificate for some different applications. I use that same certificate here. Just I want to see the certificate is issued or not. So I think I've created in the ERP folder. I have the certificate. I will select the certificate. I'll open the certificate. Then I'll come down and go and select the private key. The private key is also generated. I will select this one. This I generated for different application, but I can use it here. And I don't have the CA certificate. I can leave that as it is, and I can create now. So now the route is created. Now you can see this is HTTPS, the secure route. If I now try to reach this application, you will see that the certificate will be issued. I can go to that once, and I can accept the risk and continue. I can see now the application is reachable. Okay. So this is how you create the route. Okay, so with that we come to the end of this discussion. So in the workloads, so in our curriculum we are covering that. There are a lot of things are there to workload, but we are just particularly covering these topics, which we have seen in previously. Then we will go to the last section of the 8th chapter, which is about the cluster metrics. The cluster metrics, we are going to view the cluster level information. Just we are going to see where are the places we can go and look into the information. The first is you can view the cluster level cluster metrics based on the overview. Viewing the cluster metrics in a overview place where you can see the metrics. Once again, 1 minute. The home page or the overview page, you can see the entire the complete cluster metrics information, like overall information. This is a place where you can see. If you open the web console, if you can go to this overview section, there you can see the complete overall summary of the cluster information. Here you can see the how many parts are there, so how many nodes are there. You can see the particular information. If you click this one, it will take you the detailed information about that variation in the load. You can able to monitor that information. So in the overview page, you have a detailed overall information about the cluster. So what are the CPU utilization of the entire cluster, memory, file system, network transfer, the part count, increasing the part count over the different times. So you can see the entire information. So this is a place where you can see the thing. So enter summary of the cluster metrics. Then there are other places where you can see the project metrics, the project level information. So the project metrics, you can go to the projects. You click the projects. If you select any project, whether it is a user-defined project or the pre-existing project, you can see the project level information. So project level metrics. Here you can see about the utilization in that particular project. The project level CPU utilization, project level memory utilization, and the file system utilization, network bandwidth utilization, then port counts inside that project. You can see that information. So also you can see the inventory of that project. So how many pods are there, how many PVCs are used, so how many routes are used. They can see that information in that project level metrics. So this is what a project level metrics is. And now we can drill down and see other level metrics like resource metrics. The resource metrics are that pod level metrics. So for a particular pod, you can see the metrics information. So you can go and drill down to the level. So you can go to the workloads. There you find the pods. You click this pods and see a particular pod. You take any sample pod as an example. You can see here the pod. So once you click the pod shows how the resources are consumed at the pod level. The variation in the resource CPU and services. You can see that over here. If you click this, it will take you to the further page where you can see the further load. Okay, so you can see that over here. Here you can also run some query to know more about the variation in the load. So this is what the pod level metrics or resource level statistics. And final thing is performing the Prometheus query on web console. And Prometheus is the tool which is there at the background. We already discussed that. So Prometheus will be the monitoring tool which is defaultly available. You can implement other tools also. You can integrate other tools with Openshift, but by the default, Prometheus is there in the Openshift, which provides the metrics level information, so that we can, based on that, we can make some decision. So you can perform the queries. You can go to that metric system, and if you know the Prometheus, you can perform some query and get fetch some data relevant to what you required, whatever the required information you want to fetch from the metrics. So I can go to the. So there is a separate unit called monitoring. In the monitoring, you have something called metrics. So in the metrics, so if you open this metrics, so here you can open this metrics. So there you will find the option to insert the query. So you can add a query here. So if you don't if you don't have the format to here, just can insert some sample example query here. So once you insert this query format, so you'll be able to see the information related to the variation in the cluster load. So a particular thing, so whatever you are querying about, so you can query that information and you can fetch that, and you can do a detailed analysis about the particular changes in the workload. So you can run this query here. You can insert your query, then you can run the query. You can see the changes. Okay, so with that, we come to the end of this chapter. So we have covered great topics like cluster administration, workloads, and cluster metrics. So with that, we complete this chapter number 8. So we'll move to the pending chapters. Chapter number 7, which is about cluster update process. So the cluster update process is very simple. Like we need to know some facts about how the update process works. There are two things. Usually, when I take this topic, some people are confused that if you're already working in the Openshift, some question will come to your mind. How to update from, for example, you are using an Openshift version 3.9 or 3.12 or 3.11 like that. How to update from that version to this version? So the 4. series, from 3. series to 4. series, how to do the update? So that is actually not called as an update. So that is called as a migration process, because the entire platform is different from the previous version. So when you take the 3. series version and compare that with the 4. series version, the entire platform is different. So we will call that as a migration process. So here we are not going to talk about any migration process. It's just an update process. The update process involves updating from the minor versions. So I have 4.5.10 and I want to update from 4.5.25. That's why this is the minor update process. So we are going to see minor update process, how this is going to happen. The major process, which we call migration, so we have to have some kind of a tool to migrate. So later on we may have Openshift 5. series. Now it is a 4. series. Later on we may have 5. series. So if you want to upgrade to the 5. series, so you have to have a specialized tool. Maybe the entire environment may be different. So you have to have a tool to migrate that. So we are not going to discuss that here. So here we're going to see how to do the minor update process and what are the relevant terminologies with that update process. That's what we are going to discuss. So the update process is there. So this is very simple, like it is like a OTA update. So how you are doing the mobile update. So this is like over there the update. So this is how the update process works. So in a sense that the cluster can be operational as the update process is going on the backend. So the cluster operation will not be majorly affected because it is a minor update process. So the cluster process will not be affected. So cluster will be operational when the update process is going on. And so important point to note when you are doing the update process. One thing is you can do the forward update. So you cannot do rollback to the previous update. So the Red Hat is giving a clear warning that when you're doing the update process, the Red Hat does not support. Here you can see one warning. The Red Hat does not support reverting a cluster back to a previous version. So a rollback. If you try to roll back and it failed, so you will not receive any support from Red Hat. So you have to do it at your own risk. The Red Hat only supports upgrading to a newer version. So you are updating to a newer version and that failed. In that case, they will provide you support to see what is the issue and they can rectify that issue. But if you try to roll back, so rollbacking is not supported by the Red Hat. So the rollbacking, when you're doing a rollback, it is completely up to your risk. Okay, now we'll see how this update process are going to happen. So the update process you can see here on the web console. Go to the overview, or you can go to the cluster settings. So here itself you can see in the overview you can see the cluster ID. So here the cluster version is there. If you want to update it, you can update it. So here you can see the channel. So you also can see that in the administration task you can see the cluster settings. There you can find the settings. Here you can see the update option. You can see the update now option. When I click update now option, okay, so it is going to ask me to select the version, to which version I want to update to. So here it will show me the versions which are I'm eligible to update. So these versions which are listed to me, maybe you can see 17, there is 18 and 19 is missing. Then I have the 20. So why don't I have access to 18 and 19? Maybe because that version is unstable version. So that is not listed as a stable version. And that depends on the channel. So how you are subscribed to the channel. So whatever channels you are subscribed to, depending on your subscription to the channel, you will have access to that particular versions. So here we have 3 different channels. One is stable channel. Another channel is fast channel. And the last channel is candidate channel. So what is the difference between these channels? So as the name itself indicates, stable indicates the stable releases. What are the stable releases are there? So you will have access to the stable channel. So it is mostly used in the production environments because production environments deserves the stable channel. So whatever the version which proved and tested to be stable version, which doesn't have any problem with that, so that versions are included in the stable thing. So if you have subscribed to the stable channel, you will have access only to the stable versions. You will not have access to the unstable versions or the beta versions, so that you don't face any difficulty in, when you update to that, you don't face any difficulty with respect to that thing. So if you are in the stable channel, there are other channel like fast channel. The fast channel is like a you will have update to the versions which are currently released. So whether it is tested to be stable or not, you will have access to it. So you can test that. We can use this one for the non-prod environments mostly, like where you can test it, where the QA environment where you can do an analysis of the newer version. So for that environment, so fast channel will be suitable. And if you are subscribed to that, you will have access to all the versions like which are released. Like the latest versions, you will have access to the fast channel, but this may not be very useful on the production side. And one more channel is there which is new. So fast and stable channel will be sounding to us, but what is this candidate channel? So candidate channel is something now the Red Hat is giving the preview access, the version which is not released yet. The version is yet to be released, so you will have access to that preview version. So why they are giving you access to preview version? So that you can test that version and you can provide a feedback to the Red Hat. So if they want to improve anything, so that they can get a customer feedback and they can implement any changes in the newer deployments. So this is what the candidate channel. If you have subscribed to the candidate channel, then you will have access to the latest version. Sorry, you have access to the preview version. So these are the three different channels we have, and you can, for some analysis purpose, you can see if I have subscribed to the stable channel. Here yes indicates a stable channel. So now if assume that my current version is 4.5.0, I can have access to this, I can have access to this version, but I don't have access to this version. You can see this is great. So I can have access to this version. So I can go from here, or I can go to here, or I can go from here. But when I have subscribed to the candidate channel, you can see I can go in all paths. I can go from here and I can go to this version. Now you can see the grade version which is not here. You have access to that version also. So this is what a candidate channel is. So this candidate channel will help me to go in any path. So this will be suitable for some kind of non-testing environments where you can, some people can test the new versions. Non-prod environments you can test this. But the production side always demands a stable channel or stable versions. Okay. Now we'll come and discuss about what is happening in the update process. So how to do the update process. So here as a cluster administrator, I will initiate the update process. My update request will be initially going to the cluster version operator. So here I'm going to access this operator through a command. So my request will go to this cluster version operator. I can do it in the command or I can do it in the web console. Once the request goes, it will download the new version from this registry, and once it's downloading that new version from the registry, then it is also going to keep on watching for the new version from the registry. So it keep on watching for this. Once it is available, so that information will be available to me. So whatever the version which is I have access to, I can update to the version. Then it will start the update process. It will update the secondary components, and it will update the cluster components. And there is a separate update going on with the OLM. So the OLM will take care of the operator level update process. During the installation of operator, we have seen we are saying that what channel we are following for that particular operator, and what update approval strategy we are giving, like manual routing. The OLM will take care of updating the operators, like the separate operators which we are using. So here this is only concerned with the updating the entire cluster. So as we have seen in during the first class, we have seen that if you update the cluster, also the OS will be getting updated with the part of the cluster. If there is any update for the cluster, so the OS, if there is any OS update, so OS will be also be getting. That's the reason why we are going for the what we call that immutable OS, which is we are using the core OS. Okay. So how this update, how to initiate this update process? We'll see how to initiate it from the command line, how to initiate it from the web console. To initiate it from the web console is very easy. Go to the cluster settings. So here you can change the channel. So I want to change this channel to other version. If I want to change it from fast candidate, I can choose from here. And also I can start the update process. If you click the update now, then select the version which you want to update. So let's select that version. Then click here the update option. That will automatically update. So how to do that in the command line, the update process? So you can do that in the command line. You can use the command call OC ADM upgrade. So once you execute this command, you will see the what are the version you have access to. It's going to keep on checking this. So that's the reason you can see here. You can see like what are the new watches for the new version. It is going to download the new version when you give this signal to download it, but it keep on watching what you have access to. That information is provided here. So I have access to, starting my current version is 4.5.4. Starting from that 5, 6, 7, 8. So my channel is stable channel. So depending on that I have access to. So to find out what is my current channel, and if I want to change my current channel, the command line, how to do that? So to find out my channel, you can use the OC get cluster version. So this will give me the current cluster version. So you can see my current cluster version, which is 4.5.4, and I can use OC describe cluster version. If you describe the cluster version, here you can find the channel. So what channel you have described to, and see the channel which is stable 4.5. If I want to modify this, I want to modify to modify from stable to fast. So how to do that in the command? I just do OC edit cluster version. Just edit this cluster version and open this cluster version here. And here go to the channel here, change this one, change it from stable to fast, and save this file. It will update that information. Okay, so now we have here. So now I want to upgrade. So when I'm doing the upgrade, so I can just do watch command was OC get cluster version. So I'm going to initiate the update process. So here in this terminal, I keep a watch over here. So when I initiate the update process, what are the changes you're going to see? You will see that this progressing, which is now false, it will, when you initiate the update process, this will change to true, and you will see the status, the downloading status. What are the changes happening? You will see the changes in this one. Now this is false because it is not upgrading. Sometimes when you see the available becomes false, that means during that update process, now the cluster is not accessible. You will see this is also will be true, and the updating will also be going on. So the cluster operation is normally not affected because it's a minor upgrade version. So if there's a very major updates, like we are doing from 4.5.5 to 4.5.37. So it is like a larger variation. In some cases, there should be the cluster may not be available for some time. So in that cases, you can issue a notice warning to the clients who is using the cluster. During that time, you can say the cluster is in the updating process. So you can just say some time to that. You may face some issues. You can give some warning during that time. So now we'll see how to update it. We'll go to the OC ADM upgrade. I'm going to say, so I'm going to update to like the version. So here I have access to the versions, which is, so say I want to update to 4.5.11. I want to update to this version and use OC upgrade -2. I want to update to this one. So now you can see this is updating. If I go here and find, now this previously was false. Now you can see this is working towards this update, now downloading the update, and the progressing become 2, and the cluster is also available. This is not a problem. Cluster is also available. In case it may becomes a false, that means the updating process is locking the cluster from usage. Maybe the cluster may not be available for some time. In that case, you can issue a warning notice to the clients who are using that. So this is the update process. So it's very simple. Can do it. In the near future, we are expecting this scheme of update. So here, normally we are using this scheme of update now. In the near future, you may expect this scheme of update, which is using the telemetry system. So telemetry system is something like a CI/CD pipeline. So where we have continuous update process going on. So my cluster will be monitored for the changes or requirements. And whenever there is a critical requirement is there, this telemetry system will initiate that update process automatically, and it will be in a loop, the continuous loop, and in a continuous delivery system. So we will have a loop so that update process will going on inside there. So we'll have the manual update as well as with the critical updates which is required for the cluster. It is going to analyze my cluster and it's going to take decision. This is what the telemetry we have updating the process. So this is what we need to know about the update process. One thing, major thing we have to know, the update we cannot do a rollback. Then the update process we can initiate. Here we are doing just a minor updates. The major updates we call that as migration. We have to do some kind of tools to use it. Here just we are using that, just initiating that from the client. So this is a OTA kind of update where we can call this over the air update. So we learn about different channels. So how to use different channels. So that will be sufficient to know this update topic. So we're completing this one, cluster update process. And so we have completed all the chapters. Only one section is pending in the first chapter. We'll revisit that. So this section is pending. And there is a chapter 9 also. This chapter 9 is not a new chapter, just a bit of comprehensive review. And here you are going to see all chapters summaries, like whatever you are seeing here, like chapter 1 summary, chapter 2 summary, you'll see that, chapter 4 like that. So we'll see the summary of each chapter. And there is a lab. So this lab is important. So this lab will cover the entire things, like entire things we have discussed, like whatever we covered, the hands-on things. So this lab will cover that. So you can just give a try out of this lab. So once you get a good hold of these concepts, you can try this lab on your own. There is a solution also there. So this will be like a preliminary for your exam preparation. So you can try out this lab. Okay, so I'll come back to the last section, which we left over in the first chapter. Is here describing the OpenShift container platform. So we're going to see what are the options available for using the OpenShift. So that is one. And then we'll discuss about the features. So we have seen a lot of things like load balancing. So we have seen about automatic scaling. We have seen about the service discovery networking process. So we are going to see that as a features. So the reason for my delaying this one is that, so now whatever the terminology which I'm going to discuss, that will be familiar to you. So we'll discuss that. So here we'll start that one. The first thing is what are the options for using the OpenShift platform, starting from a individual user to a enterprise user. So what are the options I do have to use the OpenShift platform? So we are going to discuss that. The first option is you can have your entire infrastructure, OpenShift infrastructure. You can have your own container platform. So you have your own data center and all these things. So that is the first option. You establish your own things. That is a OpenShift container platform. So you manage all these things. You manage the Kubernetes engine, you manage the container platform, you manage the advanced cluster service. So you have specialized people to manage all these things. You establish that it may be a cloud or these things. So you own the platform. Maybe you get a support from the Red Hat to, in case if you're facing any issues, you may get a support from there. But the platform is owned by the individual user. That is the first option. So that will be mostly available for a very large enterprises. So who will have their own infrastructure. And there is other way to use the OpenShift. In that case, for example, I'm not a big company, so I'm a mid startup company. So I am mostly focusing on development. So I don't focus on infrastructure. So, but I want to take advantage of OpenShift. Like I want to utilize that OpenShift. I want to utilize the features of the OpenShift. So how to utilize it without having a thing? Because I don't want to create because that investment is more. If I want to have my own infrastructure with people to take care of it, we have teams to take care of it. So that is investment is very, very high. So I don't want to do that. So I want to give it a try out, and if it is flexible, then I can move to the next stage of having my own infrastructure. But I want to try out these things. So in that case, you can go for something called OpenShift Dedicated. In the OpenShift Dedicated, what happens is Red Hat will handle the infrastructure. They will provision your infrastructure, but this is only cloud-based. You have to point out to some cloud. In the cloud, they will create a dedicated infrastructure for you and hand over the infrastructure to you. In that infrastructure, you can deploy the application. We can focus on automating that application or build automation of that application or application lifecycle management. So I focus on deploying the application, managing the application. I don't care about the infrastructure because infrastructure will be handled by the Red Hat. So they will handle the infrastructure. They will take care of the update process. They will take care of any issues happening with the infrastructure. So this is what OpenShift Dedicated. So here on this link, you can find more about OpenShift Dedicated, about the cost and pricings. What are the clouds now supported for deploying the OpenShift Dedicated? So you can find it over in that particular link. Okay. One second. Here you can find the OpenShift Dedicated. And here are the benefits of this one. So you have 24/7 coverage. So you have all these things. SLA supports, service level agreements. So you can know about sample pricing here. So you can pay the hourly pricing, or you can have for 1 year commitment, or you can use it for 3 year commitments. and you can see more about the pricing. You can go and contact this advisor here to know more about it. So you can see how you are going to utilize it. You are going to get that much benefit here. So now the OpenShift is, I think this is supported on Amazon and GCP. So these are the two clouds which is supported for deploying the OpenShift dedicated. So this is one option. So some customers may require this option. So where they cannot have the dedicated infrastructure. So there is other option, like we call this, there is OpenShift Online. In the OpenShift Online, I'm just still going further. So here also it's a cloud platform, but this is a coexisting platform. In the previous case, it is a dedicated for an organization. So the Red Hat handles that for a particular organization, but here it's not for organization. It is based on how you have one entire cluster. On that cluster, how you are like you will be purchasing some projects, and you will purchase some storage for your managed project. So it is a coexisting platform. So this is what OpenShift Online is. So it's a very you can say economically it is not that much very costly. So you can use it. So you can, but at that time that too you cannot use it for a very large production deployments because you can have limited projects over here. And that too it's a coexisting platform. The coexisting platform is not much preferred for the production. But you can use it for some small POCs, like you can do some proof of concepts, or if you want to present some something to the client, so that client want to see how the applications are deployed, how the application, or you can say you can prove that the application works on the cloud, works on the OpenShift. So if you want to have some legacy application, the legacy application you want to run that on the cloud native environment. So you want to prove to the client that this runs on the OpenShift. So you need a environment for that. So the very fast environment for that. In that case, you can go for this option. This is a coexisting platform. You can create, you can purchase some projects. Like initially, you can purchase 10 projects based on your plan. You can upgrade. So here you can see the Red Hat OpenShift Online. So you can use this option. I think this option is you have a free trial also. Like you have free trial for 30 days. You can try this OpenShift Online. So here you can see the pricing. It's very less. You can see that's $50 per month. The price is very less. You can have 10 projects. You can have on that project. You can have storages to this. If you want, you can increase the storage by paying additional dollars. You can increase the storage. So you can use it for a small level things. This OpenShift Online. This is other option which may suit some clients. So who want to just study the OpenShift, who want to just do some kind of POCs. For that, they can use this OpenShift Online. So this is the third option available. And the fourth option to use the OpenShift is OpenShift Kubernetes engine. So this is an open source. So where Kubernetes itself an open source, and adding to the Kubernetes, OpenShift is providing the platform or providing this the OS, the Red Hat Enterprise Linux OS plus the core OS. Together, they releases a separate engine which is called OpenShift Kubernetes engine. So using this, you can able to have a similar environment which is similar to the OpenShift, but that will be a community based, which is not much suitable for the open like a normal environment. So one of the best example of using that open source based open source based OpenShift environment is OKD. So we can have something called OKD environment. So the OKD is something is OpenShift Kubernetes distribution, community distribution. So here they are adopting the OpenShift and Kubernetes engine, OpenShift together with Kubernetes engine. So we are using this OKD. So OKD itself is a separate community-based product, which will be almost similar to the OpenShift. So if you see that you can able to install this and work around. If you look at you can see the web console of this OKD, which is almost similar to the web console of the OpenShift. But only thing, we cannot reliably go for the community. We cannot reliably go for the production deployment, because production deployment because this is entirely supported by community. So community distribution. So this is the one more option. So some clients who want to try the OpenShift at community level, So they can try out this OKD, so which is using that core OpenShift and Kubernetes engine. So this is the fourth option available for the clients. But here you cannot expect the support. So that means you cannot reliably use it on the enterprise environment if you're using it for some mission critical applications. If something goes wrong, so you will not have immediate support. So you will have a support from the community, but that will be delayed. So it will not be as instant as you are going to expect it from the Red Hat. So this is the fourth option available for the user, which is Red Hat OpenShift Kubernetes engine. So the final option as a individual level, so just the least option available is to use the Red Hat code ready containers. So at the Kubernetes level, we have something called Minikube. So to practice the Kubernetes, to establish the Kubernetes environment, so you have something called Minikube to practice that Kubernetes. Similar to that, we have CRC, so code ready containers, which is the miniature version of the OpenShift. You can install the OpenShift, the CRC on your own laptop or your system, provided you have the rated GBs of RAM and these things. So you can install it on your system and you can practice this. Pretty much you can practice the 280 contents. So not everything, but pretty much you can practice up to 80%, 80 to 90% of the things on that. So that will install a single node cluster. Okay, so you can able to install. You can install it on all the environment like Linux or Windows or Mac. So mostly try to install it on Linux. It mostly works on the Linux. Windows it is having some permission issues. So we can use it on Linux or Windows or Mac OS. Okay, so you can download this one and you can download the secret and you can find you can follow this documentation to see how to use it. This is the last option, the least option available for the user. So to try the OpenShift, but you cannot use this for the production side, but just you can try the OpenShift commands, learn about the deployments and small level things you can learn. So almost you can learn about 180 and 280 contents. So next thing is OpenShift components. We have seen the main components of the OpenShift, which are the core OS, the immutable operating system. Then we have the CRI-O, which is the container building engine of that environment. Then we have the Kubernetes, which is the heart of the OpenShift. And we have the web service, self-service web console. We have seen that how we can use the web console, which is how it is easy to deploy the application, all these things. And we have internal registry to take care of and monitoring framework like Prometheus is also there. These are the components of this application. Then we have access to the certified images. So since we are not seeing that in a detail, so in the development paper we'll see how you can access the certified images and software packages so that you can have a secure deployment in this. These are the main components of the OpenShift. And main features of the OpenShift includes like high availability. So we have seen how the high availability is provided for the application. In case the application is going down, how it is doing a self-healing and providing the high availability. And then we have seen about the load balancing. So we have the service components which load balances the application, and also we have the scheduler which load balances the deployments of application on particular worker node. So the load balancing factors which is also one of the features of the OpenShift, and automatic scaling. And these features actually overlaps with the Kubernetes features. I don't say that this is by purely OpenShift feature. So these are the features which is natively there in the Kubernetes also, some features. The additional features which I discussed later on, like we have discussed about that web console, the quota management, like that. So that is all specific to the OpenShift. But these features may be overlapping with the features of the Kubernetes also. So automatic scaling we have seen. So we have seen the logging and metrics, how the Prometheus is providing logging metrics also, where you can see a very sophisticated information from there. And service discovery involves the process of discovering my application, running the application which is running inside my cluster, how it is discovered outside. So how the service is discovered, like we have the service, we have application layer, then service layer, then we have the route layer. Through the route layer, we are able to, the client is able to reach the application, and also we can deploy that in a secure manner. So this involves the service discovery. Service discovery is a process of reaching the application running inside the OpenShift. So that is made easy. So we can see the storage support. So we have seen there are a lot of support to storage. Here we have seen at an introductory level how the storage works, how you can configure dynamic storage. So the storage is, a lot of storage are supported, a lot of storage you can configure inside the Openshift. So basically we have stuff for storage with and we can do the application management. So we can manage the application in an efficient way. Like we have, so to manage the application, we have different concepts. One of the important concept is source to image concept. So unfortunately, the source to image concept, which is not saying, because it's not essential for us as administrator, but there is a concept like source to image concept where you have the source code so that you can manage that application, which we will be dealing that in the development paper. So the application management is made easy through this concepts. And finally, the extensibility of the cluster. The cluster extensibility includes the operator concept. Through the operator, I'm going to bring in something which is not natively available in the cluster. So I have the OLM. The OLM facilitates so that I can install any operator and I can able to work on that. So the cluster extensibility, and also I can use the plugins. I can use the authentication plugins. I can use the authentication which is supported by Openshift. I can use that and I can extend the function of the cluster. So these are some of the features of the Openshift that we come to the end of this discussion. So you can read through this chapters whatever discussed here. You can find out about this descriptions of this. You can find out about the components, the features which we have discussed. So you can just give a reading of this, then you can try to answer this quiz which is over here. And with that we come to the end of this course. So any doubts after this question?
Yeah, Abdul, can you go to our day one class, right? You have taken, I mean, you have prepared some architecture image and all, right? Can you show me once? The first day.
Bro, if possible, can you share with us the prints?
Yeah, that will be useful for us, prints.
So this one?
One second. Yeah, correct.
One more thing, so there is one more session, like the exam training session. Actually, I'm planning it on Wednesday morning. This exam training session, I'll be working out the exam related questions. That session will be around 4 hours. I'm planning it on coming Wednesday morning 10 o'clock starting. So you can arrange yourself for that.
Coming Wednesday.
This is like a day after today.
How many hours, Abdul?
Yeah, that will be 4 hours. Max
So it's a one-day training alone, right?
Yeah. Not even one day. It will be just half day only. So that training will be, I'll be working on the exam questions, so that the exam is concerned. The exam pattern, the question pattern will not change. The pattern will be same. The question context may change. So I will work on that question pattern. I'll work out that session. So we'll have around the 16 questions on the exam. I'll work on that questions. Later on, once you are booking the exam, you can practice the same question and you can able to clear that exam. So I'll be doing that. The exam oriented training I'll planning it on Wednesday. If you miss it on Wednesday, because I will doing it on every week. So if you are not able to attend on Wednesday, you can do it only on. Okay. So please plan accordingly, and please share your WhatsApp number or your email address, any contact number, so that I can contact you later on. Okay. And one more thing is that you will get a promotional code for the 80 hours lab. I think the lab will not be sufficient for you to now practice this contents. You will have your 8 hours lab, which will be you can use it for 3 months. Like you have the lab as well as you have a virtual class access. So you will have you will get a promo code, but it takes some time, like 2 to 3 days to get that promotional code. So you will have access to the lab. The same lab you will get it, but you have to apply that promotional code. Once you are applying the promotional code, you have access to that, and also you have this access to this video content. So all the whatever the course content is there, so this guy will actually take that course. So there's a pre-recorded video. So in case if you have any doubts, you can use this video class. You will be taking this class. So that is a video class access. So you will have access to this one for 90 days. Okay. So once you get that promotional code, that you have to apply that promotional code through. They will give you a link. So you open that link. You will use your own credentials to access the Red Hat credentials. Then you will apply that code. Once you apply that code, you will see this access. You will have the access to the classroom video as well as you have access to the lab. In case if you're not done any lab on during the class time, you can practice that in the lab. The same lab you can use it for the exam practice also. They can practice the exam questions in the same lab. In case if you have exhausted that 8 hours lab, you can use our lab for the exam practice. But in our lab, you can practice only the exam content. You cannot practice the normal course content. The course content you can practice only with the Red Hat. So you will have access to the video classroom and the lab. The lab will be for 80 hours. So you have to watch out when you are starting the lab will consume 1 hour. And then make sure that you are stopping the lab when you are not using it. Then also you can see the hours of that lab. And this will be the same lab. So there will be no difference in the lab working. So working will be same. The same lab will get it. You will get it on your same account, same data, so that you can access that. You have to wait for 2 to 3 days to get that promotional code. Once the promotional code is there, I will forward you that promotional code to you, and I will forward you the email. I will forward you email, and that email you will find the instruction how to apply that promotional code. I'll just attach a PDF file. The PDF will find how to attach that, how to apply that promotional code. So you can follow that. If in case you have doubt, you can contact me. And you can follow our commercial in charge like Prem for that. If in case you are not getting in 2 days, you can follow him up. So if he says you got that code, then you can contact me. Then I can forward you that email. So try to arrange yourself accordingly. So please forward your some contact information. So I'll just this is my WhatsApp number. If possible, can you just forward to this WhatsApp number? Because this chat will be deleted after you. This is my WhatsApp number, which I have. This is my WhatsApp number, and this is my email. So in case if you want to contact me by email, this is my email. Okay, I'll be sending this paint images. I've been saving that images. I'll be sending that. Whatever there may be something may be missing, but whatever I'm having, I'll try to send that images, and I'll also send the PowerPoint presentation with the PPT which I have. So for the chapter number 1 to 6, so I will send that also. So for that, just forward your email address or something to me. That okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we'll close the session, and if you have any doubts, you can contact me on the WhatsApp or email. Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Abdul. Thank you. Bye. Thank you. Bye.